If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This is episode 429 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abu-El-Samad from Telemetry.
I'm Roberto Baldwin from SAE Media. SAE International. Man, well, both, actually. I'm from SAE Media and SAE International. I probably should have. Yeah, I'm from all the SAEs.
And I'm Stephanie Brinley from S&P Global Mobility.
And something else. Just make up something now. Right.
And Nicole, I think, is still in Europe. I mean, a couple of days ago, she sent some photos. She texted some photos of a Mercedes CLA EV partially camoed somewhere in Germany. So
somewhere in Germany. You know, I'll be somewhere in Germany tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll probably be driving those cars. I think that's all I can say. I don't know. They'll tell me when I get there.
At some future date. All right. Well, Steph, since you're our guest today, why don't you tell us what you drove?
I drove the Corolla Cross Hybrid this week. And, you know, when I was driving it, I from Michigan people, right? I drove up to Frankenmuth on Thanksgiving. And I love how small and compact and just easy to live with it is. I was a little bit surprised that the mid-range power on the highway was better than I expected it to be. I mean, it's a little hybrid with not a ton of power, so it's not a super fast vehicle, but it handled pretty well, and I was enjoying it. I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. It didn't feel like it was quite as noisy as a lot of Toyota hybrids tend to be. And then I'm like, let's double check the price on this thing.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm like, okay, maybe not. And then I'm trying to figure out how upset I am about the price right now. It's $35,999 before the $1,450 destination fee. So it's $37,449. Now, just for kicks, I compared the non-hybrid XLE, which is similarly equipped to the one that I have. And it was $34,810 before the destination fee. So
your hybrid was also an XLE?
It was similar. It's XSE. It was XSE for the hybrid, but so there's similar content, a little bit different. Couldn't quite get it to be exactly the same when you go from hybrid to gas. And so there's still I was looking to find the gap between the two, and there's still a pretty good gap between the hybrid and the non-hybrid. And that's where the extra, oh geez, that was more expensive than I thought, came from, I think, is the gap between the hybrid and the non-hybrid. Overall, it's probably, if you think about an average car price of, $48,000 or $49,000, it's still well below average, but it still felt like a little bit of a surprise. I was thinking closer to 33.
Yeah.
Which is, before there's any options on this one, the base price is $33,000. But then you throw a couple of options onto it and the destination fee, and all of a sudden you're at $37,500.
You're like, oh, ooh.
That's a lot of money for something that has a Corolla badge but no GR badge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the Corolla with the GR badge on it, and you're not at that price either. Let's look at that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the GR is like upwards of 40 now.
Yeah, but that's upwards of 40 base.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hit 47 before you're done.
Yeah, easily.
Pretty easily. So you can get a Corolla GR for, $10,000 more than this one.
Yeah.
It's not exactly.
Well, it's fun. When the Prelude pricing came out, they sent it along with like, oh, based on inflation, it's actually less than like the 2002 Prelude or whatever. And so when you look at like, we can say, oh, well, based on the inflation, this car's actually cheaper than a car, but that's based on inflation. Pay hasn't increased based on inflation. There's the big issue is that the amount of money we take home hasn't kept track with inflation for a very long time. So it just everything keeps getting more and more expensive while we're getting less.
It's a bigger and bigger percentage of our paycheck.
Yeah, there's a larger and larger gap every year. So when you say, well, it's only, well, according to inflation, this car was only like, $18,000. I'm like, yeah, but I make less than I would have in the 90s.
Well, and I saw that Honda comparison, and it was clever because they compared to the last year of the Prelude and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're randomly comparing to 2001, sure.
Yeah.
But a lot has changed. And I mean, a vehicle affordability is going to be a problem all year long. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
Same with everything else. But
well, and I think they with the RAV4, when they announced the RAV4 pricing a week or two ago, I think they did something similar. They compared the price of the base RAV4 SE trim, I think is the base trim, and compared that to the cheapest 2025 RAV4 hybrid, and that trim was slightly cheaper by, I don't know, a couple $100, but that doesn't take into account the fact that you can't get a gas-only RAV4 anymore. And there was a cheaper RAV4 gas last year that is now gone. And if you and the same thing happened with the 4Runner. If you go past that base trim to any of the other trims, they're all the other trims are more expensive than the equivalent 2025 models. And it was the same thing with the 4Runner and with the Tacoma. So they get a cheap baseline price that for a version that almost nobody buys.
Yeah.
And then everything else is more expensive. And in some cases by a lot.
Yeah. It's just like the huge leaps in any trim below. You get like 4 wheels and like some vice grips for a steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, pricing is still going to be pressured all year.
Yeah.
Now that tariffs have settled down to a degree,
we hope.
I know
for the moment.
All you can do is hope.
Fingers crossed.
It's preoccupied with going to war with a country that hasn't done anything to us yet.
Yeah. So they're almost settled, but that does mean that automakers can get a better grip on what their pricing needs to be for next year. So we do expect to see more impact, and we'll see exactly what that translates into. But consumers, of course, are facing everything else is more expensive as well, and we do. Didn't double check our forecast for 26, but we do expect 26 to be lower sales than 25. But the weird thing about all this pricing conversation that we talk about pricing a lot, talk about affordability a lot. Somehow or another, consumers were resilient enough in 2025 that they're going to buy a little bit more, a few more cars than they did in 2024. And in 2024, we kind of thought affordability might be a bit of a problem. We've been talking about this for years, and consumers just keep buying cars.
It is crazy what people are paying for cars and their loans and how much they're paying per month. And I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah,
I feel like the cheapest person on my block.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this on several occasions, where what was it, 20% of all car payments are now over $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
And so many people now have 7 and 8 year car loans, which is just insane.
So much money. Like who? It doesn't help that I live in the Bay Area, so there's that, and we bought a house in the Bay Area, so that we already have the squeeze of that.
But even here in Michigan,
yeah,
it's still very expensive.
Yeah,
and
it's still a lot of money.
I'm lucky, we haven't had a car payment in 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years now since I last had a car payment. Both of our cars are paid off. So, and that's part of the reason why this year when we did decide to replace our old car, we bought a used car for the first time in a long time.
Mine's paid off, but mine's old, and that's one of the things I'm not. Am I going to buy a new car this year? I don't know. It's crazy. I might. Could happen. But yeah, my Miata's been paid off for a while. And it is nice to go without a car payment. And historically, when I've bought a car, I've gotten it paid off well before the loan term, and only had car payments for a couple of years. But I don't know if that's possible with the way that pricing is right now.
Yeah, that's. Whew.
Yeah, average transaction prices, topped 50,000 in, was it September or October?
And there were some other factors. Playing
it dipped back down again in October, slightly just below. But my guess is that for at least the next year or two, it's going to be hovering right around that $50,000 mark for a while now.
I don't.
It's probably going to just bounce up and down just around that mark, but not really drop significantly.
So in that context, $36,000 for a Corolla Cross Hybrid is not as crazy as it sounds, but it still feels like
we're like, when you think about the economics of it, you're like, okay, 36,000, okay, 3-year loan, all right, how much down, all right, if you get 10%, oh my god, it's a lot of money for a Corolla.
Mm-hmm. It's the interest rates now too. I mean,
that doesn't help either.
Yeah, no. That's a big part of what contributes to those $1,000 a month payments is the interest rates on a lot of these loans, because you end up, just paying an exorbitant amount. Yeah, it's been nice lately, looking at my mortgage statement and seeing, that we're in the approaching the final years of our mortgage, and so now the vast majority of my monthly mortgage payment is going to principal and not to interest.
That's nice.
Yeah.
We're only 6 years in, so
I just bought a house and tried to set things up. I should be paid off in a couple of years, but I did a big lump payment this summer, and so saw that same thing, Sam. It was really nice.
Yeah,
it's really nice to see that drop. If I can pay less interest, it's better.
Yeah, we pay every 2 weeks, so twice a year we're just paying directly to interest instead of once a month. Look at that! Look at all the financial advice we're giving people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Save up all your money, just pay off your house and buy a used car. That's the Will Barron's motto.
Well, no, be careful with buying. Well, Sam, you were able to buy your used car without a payment, but used car financing can be higher than new car financing.
That's true.
So get a little bit there too.
Yeah, you do end up typically paying more in interest rates on used car loans because generally you're not going to get your used car loan through the captive finance company, the automaker, and they usually give the best rates. So if you have to go through your bank or credit union, or heaven forbid, through the dealer, you're going to end up paying a lot more in interest rates. So that's actually another major challenge with used cars. So
there's a NC Miata for $10,000 near me. So I'm just
If I do decide to sell, there's one in my driveway. I don't know how to sell it for, but
there you go.
Robbie can fly here and drive it home.
Yep.
No, I only fit in the NDs.
You fit in the ND, but you don't fit in the NC?
Nope. Because of the way the cross member is for the
well, that's how retractable. Does that help?
The retractable top, yeah. I drove my friend in his NA. He messed up his knee. We were at a Taekwondo tournament, and he got kicked in the knee. And so I had to drive him to the hospital in the snow in his NA. And I was driving like this. I had my head all cocked like 45 degrees. It was horrible. I was like, man, this car sucks.
Well, and you're quite a bit taller than I am, Robbie. And the last time I drove
a monster.
ND, was at the Mama Spring Rally last in 24 at Road America, and I went to take an ND out on the track. And when you go on the track, you have to wear a helmet, and it was kind of a rainy day, so it had the top up, had the top closed. It was an RF, so it was the hard top. Had the top closed, and with the helmet on, I was like that, with my head cocked over because I could not fit with a helmet on.
Like that's me in the Lamborghini in the Huracan. I was at Willow Springs, and my head was cocked at 45 degrees with trying to drive at Willow Springs in a Lamborghini. It was just like
not great.
Never be tall.
Being a little shorter than you guys. It's not
good. See, that's everyone's like, oh, you're tall, you can reach things. I'm like, yeah, but most like fun sports car. Like my friend had an S2000. I wanted one so bad, and I went to get in it, and I'm like, well, this will never work. This is never going to be part of my life. So I have a BRZ.
Small sports cars.
Yeah. So I have the BRZ. The Miata for tall people.
Yeah. Anything else on the Corolla Cross?
That was about it. I mean, really comfortable and comfortable for its segment and what and more pleasant to drive than I was sort of expecting. And knocked around a little bit. I like things that are small like that. And ease of use in that space. A little quieter than I thought it was going to be. From the engine, the road noise on the tires was pretty high.
Yeah,
just radio up.
That's typical Toyota 4-cylinder.
Yeah, very typical of that. And again, the pricing was a little bit higher than I was sort of thinking, but as we've talked about, it makes a little bit more sense. I'm still 42 mpg is pretty nice, and a good viable option for the entry space. The entry space is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
All right,
Robbie, tell us about your adventure this week.
So I drove to Palm Springs and back, which is over 500 miles. And we took the dogs, and we, usually we drive the dogs around in the Ioniq 5, but that's so much time in a car. So what we do when we go on long trips with the dogs is we will rent a minivan, and then I have to spend like an entire day when we get back cleaning the minivan because you're not supposed to put dogs in your rental minivan. That's it. So you almost always get a Chrysler Pacifica. I got a Toyota Sienna hybrid once, and I was so excited because I got like great gas mileage. But not this time. I got the Chrysler Pacifica S, which is like, ooh. It felt fancy. There was like, USB ports in the back for the second row, which didn't matter because all the seats were down because there's a big dog bed in the back for the dogs. That's it. I have never had a car that dropped CarPlay more than this vehicle. Just nonstop. Like you just be driving.
Is it wired or wireless?
Either wired and wireless. That's why I was like, oh, well, I'll just unplug it. Maybe there's something going. Nope. USB-C, USB-A. It had both, by the way, which was nice. But still, it just kept dropping CarPlay. So I'm not 100% sure if it was the car or if it was my phone. But my phone has not dropped CarPlay in my car at all the entire time I've been back. Because, there was an update for the iPhone, and God knows what they're doing over at Apple anymore. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. I got about 22 and a half miles per gallon driving down there. That's doing like 80, 85, again, speeding. The speed limit's 70, so of course I'm going to go faster than that because I'm a horrible person on the freeway. It was comfortable. It was a comfortable vehicle. Stow and go, still like, double thumbs up for stow and go for second and third row. Tons of room for all the random stuff. Like just, stuff starts sliding because there's so much room. You don't have anything to like, so you have to very carefully put things in. The dogs enjoyed it. They like being able to stand up, walk around, come put their heads between the two drivers, the two front seats because they are also driving as far as they're concerned.
That is the way it works with dogs and cars.
Yeah. The transmission, man, it is.
That's the 9-speed.
Yeah, it's not. It's. Everything happens about 3 seconds later. But again, it's a minivan. You're driving around town. Transmissions like that in order to like reduce, get you some better fuel economy. I think for most of your driving, you're going to be fine. But it is, yeah. I didn't sit in the second or third row. I did clean those rows, which was nice. So,
well, at least you didn't have to actually clean those seats.
No, I didn't have to clean the seats. So that was good. Overall, it's, if you're looking for a used minivan, this is probably about a 2023, 2024. It only had like 60,000 miles, but those are 60,000 rental car miles. Those are some hard miles. Those are a guy throwing his German Shepherd and his tiny German Shepherd in the back of a car and blasting down Interstate 5. That said, give it a look. If you want to go up a little bit, you're probably going to, look at the Sienna or the Odyssey. But you can't beat stow and go.
Right.
Especially if you haul a lot. And I when we moved, we had movers because we used to live on the 4th floor of a walk-up in San Francisco. So after living there for over 10 years and just carrying things up, we're not carrying all this down because now we're old. We had movers move all this stuff, except, there's always that extra stuff. And I didn't rent a minivan. I didn't rent the SUV. I didn't rent a truck. I rented a minivan to get all that extra stuff into to our new house. And that's the brilliance of a minivan. You have the little doors that slide open as you're walking up. That's the low load height. There's so much room that you don't think about that you lose when you have an SUV. You're sitting lower. You feel, it's kind of a nicer driving experience on the freeway. Just cruising, it's a better, touring vehicle than an SUV. I cannot say enough nice things about minivans, and no matter how often I tell people, they're like, ew, and I'm just like, man. But then you see the people who have minivans, and you're like, they get it. They get it. I have a cousin who has kids, and they had a minivan for years. It was unfortunately someone's T-boned it, but I remember when I saw it, I'm like, you get it. He's a Mercedes dealer.
Yeah.
He works at a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and so he could have gotten anything. Nope, got the Honda Odyssey.
Yep.
So Chrysler Pacifica S. The S stands for sure. Why not? Pay extra money. You probably don't need that if you're hauling kids. It's a little bit. It feels like it's a little bit geared towards. Oh, you're gonna pick up some fancy people from the airport. It's like Get Shorty. It's, everyone's. So.
Yeah. The one thing to remember is if you go with the plug-in hybrid version of the Pacifica, you lose the stow and go for the second row seats because the cavity where the seats go is where the battery is.
And you can't take them out. I when they first came out, I took them out. It doesn't take too long, but now you got to store these seats somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you're going on a long trip, like let's say we had decided while we were in Palm Springs, we decided to take a bunch of people somewhere. If we had the hybrid, it wouldn't have made, sorry, 3 people could sit in the very back.
Yeah.
Also, what's really weird is sometimes, I don't know why, rental places will buy plug-in hybrids. There's absolutely no reason in the world to rent anyone a plug-in hybrid because they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Typically, and they don't have anywhere, they're going to a hotel. Where are they going to plug in? So I've had more than a few people who will call me or text me who rented a car and they're like, I got this hybrid and it's not even giving me any extra. I'm like, does it have a plug? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you got hosed. It doesn't make any sense why they're passing out plug-in hybrids for rental cars. It's like you either get a gas car or an electric car or a hybrid. Don't get a plug-in hybrid when you rent a car. There's unless you have somewhere to plug in at your destination, chances are it's not. Yeah.
A lot, there's, if you're staying at an Airbnb or something like that, there's actually a reasonable chance that you might have somewhere to plug it in. And, if you're going to rent it and then just, drive around town, use it to get around town every day, that's actually not a bad solution. But like for what you were doing, which is driving from the Bay Area to Palm Springs, it would make no sense.
No, it makes no sense. Try to get the hybrid. You're going to be happier overall. Or
in the middle of all this conversation, passenger vans this year through September, they're up 307,000 registered, give or take. January through September of 25. January through September of 24, it was 268,000.
Wow,
so
pretty big increase.
It's a weird segment it's picking up this year.
Yeah, we finally have talked everybody into the awesome. Like I think almost every automotive journalist is like, vans are pretty rad.
Yeah,
maybe you should get a van or a wagon. And people are like, boo, those are lame.
If you've got young to teenage-ish, preteen kids, a minivan, sliding doors, low load height, so it's easy to get, especially if you got younger kids, you have to put them into booster seats and things like that. The kids can climb into the vehicle themselves, and then you just lift them up into the booster and get them buckled in. It's so much easier than doing the lift up into an SUV and trying to do the same thing.
I tried to explain the scenario where, they're holding the child, they're walking to the car. You can either try to open the car, you open the door, you're going to hit the car next to you, you're trying to squeeze in there, or you walk up, you hit the button, the door slides open. You have this giant opening to shove your child into the seat, and then just click.
If your kids are old enough that, when you do park the car and it's time to get out, and they're going to open the back doors themselves,
because they're crazy.
They're not going to take that care not to ding the car next to them. So if you got sliders, perfect.
Boom.
You're done. You're golden.
If you're a parent, do you like when you're parking? This is a question for parents with like youngest kids who can open the door. When you're parking, if you see a car that's very expensive, do you go and find another parking spot, or are you just like so tired all the time because you have children that you're just like, well, roll the dice, buddy. Hey, don't hit that car. Clunk. Whatever.
Thinking back to when our kids were younger, I don't think I specifically looked for spaces away from more expensive cars, but just wider spaces. Because a lot of times there's not a whole lot of room when you pull in, and so finding a space that's got more room on the sides, regardless of what's parked next to it, is definitely something we did.
Cool. Oh, I did the Bill challenge. I didn't pee for a really long time.
Oh, by the way, when we were talking about pricing and stuff as well. So see, I'm looking up numbers while we're talking here.
Yeah.
Because why not? And really, it looks like from our data, about 49% were in the $40,000 to $47,000 price range, give or take.
Whew.
And 15% in the 46 to 50. So 40, yeah. How do we do this? 40 to 46, 499. And then 46,500 to 49,999 is another 15%. So it looks like most of these are really going in that $40,000 to $50,000 price range, which is not that bad in the context of what we were talking about. Like Corolla Cross being at 37, including destination. This would not include destination. So 36 including destination. You can step up a little bit more if you really need to get a minivan.
I'm looking at a used price.
Increasingly
like
hard to find, a reasonably equipped 3-row SUV for under $50,000.
Right.
And you fit in the back of a minivan.
Yeah.
Like most 3-row SUVs, I get in the back, I'm like, well, I did it.
Can I go now?
It's like when someone gives you food that you know is not going to be great, and you're like, well, I'll taste it. That's a 3rd row in most SUVs. You're like, well, I did the thing to say that I did it. I'm never going to do this again.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a Mercedes-Benz, a Mercedes-AMG G63.
So the exact same kind of car that we had.
And, this car, this vehicle is, in principle, one of the most capable 4-wheel drive off-road vehicles in the world. It's got 3 locking differentials, front, center, and rear. It's got a solid rear axle, so you get good articulation off-road. It's got all the good stuff that you want in an off-road SUV. And it's got 22-inch wheels with low-profile tires.
Of course.
So this vehicle is never, ever, ever going to go off-road.
How expensive is this one?
Ooh, let's see. The base price is $186,100. All in, this one was $211,700. which you want to take a guess at the destination charge?
Oh, we're at $3,000 now, maybe.
1,200.
Robbie almost nailed it. 1,150.
Yeah.
Because,
really?
Well, because the thing that we have come to realize here on Wheel Bearings is that the domestic automakers, they are hiding their price increases in destination charges, just cranking up the destination charges. The Germans, they don't care. It's fine. If we're going to raise the price, we're just going to raise the sticker price. They're not going to screw around with trying to hide it. It's just there. So $1,150. So the more expensive imports like this, typically the destination charges, even if they're coming from Germany or somewhere else, are relatively modest compared to the $2,500, $2,600 you'll pay now for a full size pickup or SUV from Ford, GM, or Stellantis.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the AMG G63 has the AMG 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with their 48-volt mild hybrid system on it, 577 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque, side exit exhaust, so 2 exhaust pipes in front of each of the rear wheels. So this thing sounds fantastic when you fire it up, and especially if you put it in Sport Plus mode, it really sounds good when you step on the gas and you rev it. Unlike an EV. I mean, this thing's authentic rumbling thing. Got almost 600 V8 horsepower under the hood. It sounds like fun, but it's so weird. Looking down at the console, seeing these switches for the 3 locking differentials and all the other stuff. The off-road drive modes. There's a whole page. You can flip the infotainment system to the. In fact, there's a dedicated button. You don't even have to go searching through a menu. There's a button that takes you to the off-road interface. It shows you things like your roll and pitch angle, things like that, so you know how far you're tilted up. Because nobody's ever going to take this thing off-road unless they buy one that's like 25, 30 years old, and they throw away those wheels and tires, put a lift kit on it, and put on some proper off-road all-terrain tires.
People get snow tires.
And this one is on snow tires. They did put snows on it.
No, but you could get spare off-road tires,
Yeah.
You're $211,000.
You could.
But
the people that are going to buy this thing, people living in, Beverly Hills, driving, to the Gucci store on Rodeo Drive.
That's not the car's fault. That's the people's fault.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not blaming the car. It is absolutely the fault of the people that are buying this vehicle, which, is, like I said, has all these core capabilities that make it great for, going to Moab or, the Rubicon Trail. But, then they put these ridiculous wheels and tires on it that make it useless.
Yeah.
You can I looked, you can get 20-inch tires for it.
Yes, it does.
20-inch wheels.
The AMG G63 does come standard with 20s.
Okay, but they just gave you the 22s because
that's what people are going to buy when they buy this thing.
Because they don't enjoy freedom.
Yeah.
When I was in Japan at the Tokyo Motor Show a few weeks ago, wherever that was, and there were a ton of them. Mm-hmm. G classes all over the place. It was kind of
surprising how many there are in Tokyo. Yeah.
It was kind of a strange thing, but I probably would also be one of those people that ever took it off road. But guilty pleasure car, check.
Oh I love it. I got the person, the head of this vehicle, to admit that the EV version's the best one.
Yeah.
And so I had that. I drove the EV one, and I kept taking it off road. I was like, yeah.
It comes standard with these street tires. That you don't want to take those things on a trail where you're gonna where the sharp rocks are gonna cut up those tires very easily.
I do what I want.
Yeah. But I mean, there's some really nice things about this. The seats, the front seats in this thing are great. The back seat's kind of tight, but for given the proportions, it's similar in size to a 4-door Wrangler or a Bronco, but But the front seats, you got these there's performance front seats, heavy bolstering, so when you're cornering hard, it's also got the thing that Mercedes does where it's got a dynamic mode for the seats. So when you're cornering, if you're turning to the right, you'll feel the left side bolster pushing you in, trying to keep you in place in front of the steering wheel. So those are cool little features. The massage function in those seats works really nice. I took this thing out for a drive for a couple of hours the other day before the snow started, and it's very, very pleasant to drive. And again, because of the shape of this thing, it's a very upright vehicle, and there's a lot of similarity in the design to a Jeep, to a Wrangler. So the hood actually slopes down quite a bit. It's got a very upright windshield, almost flat windshield. And so you have actually very good visibility in front of you into the corners, which if you were on an off-road trail, would be great because you can see where you're maneuvering, even without having to resort to all the cameras and stuff. But again, on the tires that come from the factory, the wheels and tires come from the factory, you're going to get about 20 feet on the trail if you're lucky, and that's about it. You got about 9.5 inches of ground clearance on this thing, which actually is better than the Jeep Recon we talked about last week, which is only 9.1 inches. And different versions
Jeep
of
Recon.
Huh?
Take that Jeep Recon.
Yeah, and various iterations of the G-Wagon, depending on what configuration you get. Some of them get up to 13 inches of ground clearance, which is actually really good. It's the MBUX infotainment system works quite well. The voice control is good. What else is on this thing? Oh, yeah, some of the options on there. It had some of the manufacturer trim elements. So you've got there's a grab handle on the passenger side of the dash. So when my wife was going to climb into this thing yesterday, she saw the grab handle and use that to pull herself up because this thing is pretty tall. And it had on the what was this one? I think walnut. I think had walnut trim. Yeah, so open pore walnut trim on the dashboard and on those grab handles, and it had the manufacturer script, spelled the German way with a K and no E, which that's Mercedes personalization package, that they offer. Sorry, no, it's oak. It's natural grain oak wood trim, which looks really nice in this thing. Nice, good size cup holders, so it fit my wife's big ass water bottle. And so yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly nice to drive. It's very quick with almost 600 horsepower. It's this weird. It's got this weird split personality. It's got all these capabilities that you can't actually use just because of the wheels and tires they put on it.
Seriously, buy spare wheels and tires, put them in the garage.
Yeah.
Change it out when you want to go off-roading.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're paying like a minimum $155,000 for any of these trims, well, for like if you get the cheap one,
yeah, okay,
if you get the cheap one, you probably can afford an extra set of wheels. I mean, the people who are buying this car are not. Like, I took the electric one. I kept taking it off into the dirt and on a little trail and stuff. And I was like, no one's ever. This is in California. This is like one of 3 of these that's doing this right now. And California is the largest market for this vehicle because LA. And those things, every time I see one, I cry a little tear comes down my face. It's like when I see a lower WRX or STI. I'm like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Stop it. It's the same thing with the G-Wagon. Yeah. I see a G-Wagon, it's not, and it's definitely never been off-road. Little tear.
Yeah. And I'm fully aware that, anybody who is going to spend almost $212,000 on a vehicle like this can certainly afford to buy an extra set of wheels and tires. And they can also afford to have somebody that takes care of the vehicles in their garage of multiple vehicles. And, when they, just, press a button on their desk or, somewhere in their smart, incredibly smart home, it will send a message to that person saying, hey, I plan to go off-roading this afternoon, put the off-road tires on the AMG G63. And, it'll just magically happen. They're not, the people that own this type of vehicle are not, if they care at all about going off-roading, they will have someone that they employ to take care of this stuff for them.
They got a guy.
Or, they may actually just have two of them. They may have one with the summer performance tires, and then a second one with off-road tires.
There you go. Spare G-Class. Spare tires.
That's what we've been missing. But the doubles.
The thing is, if you are going to go off-road with this thing, it's not just the tires. You do have to be careful with those exhaust tips because, those exhaust pipes come out the side just in front of the rear wheels. And, depending on, where the obstacles are, it would be very easy to crush those. And I'm sure that would not be an inexpensive repair to replace those exhaust tips.
YOLO.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on to some other stuff. So, remember the Dodge Magnum?
The Dodge Magnum's the coolest thing Dodge has done in 100 years.
Yeah. I miss the Magnum.
I miss the Magnum.
It's a shame they didn't sell more of those.
Yes, it is.
Because I thought that was a really cool looking vehicle. It was a really cool design for a wagon. You could get it with a Hemi, and it was it had all of the same driving dynamics as a Challenger or Charger. For good or ill, which is actually surprisingly good, given the size and weight of the car. But, it only lasted a few years because, Americans, don't like to have the right kinds of vehicles. They don't like to have good things.
There were a lot of Magnums in the Bay Area. I think maybe we bought all of them. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, probably the Bay Area and Detroit were probably the only places that ever bought them.
Probably because they could probably throw their bikes in it or something.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Cool. It was just such a cool looking car and so unapologetically American and in your face. I loved it.
Yeah. So somebody did a render, probably AI generated, but it might have been done with Photoshop, taking the current Dodge Charger. In fact, the one that they used as the base for this image was the Charger Daytona. And they put an extended roof line on it to turn it into a modern day Magnum. And this, and they also put, as if the Charger Daytona is not wide enough, they put the wide body wheel flares on there from the last generation Charger Challenger. And this thing looks really good. I like it.
Listen, I've posted on the internet dozens of times, bring back the Magnum, you cowards. And so far they have not. But at least someone's thinking about it.
They're not listening to you.
No one's listening. No, they're definitely, Dodge is definitely not listening to anything I've ever said.
They saw the lesson of the Cadillac CTS-V wagon.
Okay, maybe I liked that one better than the Magnum.
Journalists said, yes, give us this cool looking wagon with a big supercharged V8 engine and a manual transmission. And then nobody bought it.
I know one person who did, and I tried it. I almost bought that one.
Did you?
But I could never afford it.
Yeah.
I wanted that car. wanted that car.
Ray Wart's the only person I know who has one, and he bought his used. So. So yeah, sadly,
the one that I knew of was purple with the manual transmission.
Ooh,
that dark purple.
I don't remember the purple. Huh.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to look that up later. But I'm sure somebody will build one of these for SEMA one of these days.
Uh-huh.
But probably not an electric one. They'll probably build one with a Hellcat in it.
SEMA, yeah.
Yeah. So do either of you have any subscriptions that you pay for in your car?
My car?
Yeah. Because you want to use your car to subscribe to stuff, right?
No, I don't.
I do not.
No?
I do not. I don't even, I'm even off Sirius right now. I was on Sirius, but I don't even have Sirius at the moment.
Well, the state of New York, or at least one state senator in New York, is sponsoring a bill that would sort of kind of ban subscriptions.
Sort of, kind of.
The quote here from the Jalopnik article: if the automaker is building a feature into a car, for as long as cars have been invented, you've never had to pay a subscription to access those features. When asked if he sees this as the next wave of corporate nickel and diming, turning safety into a luxury, Scofields didn't hesitate. There's no question. So, everybody has complained about, BMW's experiments with, charging a subscription for heated seats and heated steering wheels and things like that. And those went nowhere because the market said, no, we don't want this. Yeah. We're not going to pay for this. Yep. But manufacturers continue to try to experiment with trying to find ways to extract money from their customers in perpetuity. And some of those efforts are working better than others, like, getting them to pay a subscription, for at least for connectivity, and then to, use that, as a way to charge a subscription for some of the more advanced driver assist features like Super Cruise, or Ford's Blue Cruise. And so the bill that is being sponsored in New York State targets subscription fees for accessing hardware that's already built into the car. But there are, of course, exceptions. The provisions of this section shall not apply to navigation system updates. So, so you're still going to have to pay for your nav updates. Infotainment features, satellite radio, in-vehicle Wi-Fi, telematics services, roadside assistance, and software-dependent driver assistance or other driver automation features, or vehicle-connected services. So basically, they won't be able to charge you for heated seats. Everything else, pretty much fair game.
Yeah, they weren't charged. All right.
And, the trick is, is finding enough for the consumer to find value. I mean, some of these things that are being charged for subscriptions, there are over-the-air updates. The things do change. We talk about Super Cruise and Blue Cruise, the maps change. Mm-hmm. The way that it interacts in the HUD changes, or in the driver information system changes for you over time. So if you've got something that gets better or does offer something different, a subscription makes sense.
Because there's a cost associated with developing and testing that and deploying it. Yeah. And so, somebody's got to pay for that, and they either build it into the price of the vehicle up front, but that's problematic because, again, it's that affordability issue. And also, you don't necessarily know how much you're going to spend on that. The manufacturer doesn't necessarily know how much it's going to cost over the vehicle's lifetime. And, so trying to figure out what is the right price point. Whereas, a subscription actually does make a lot of sense for a lot of those things.
Yeah. I mean, and so I would say in some respects, proposing a bill that bans subscriptions to heated seats, which the market already killed by itself, but makes everything that makes sense to have a subscription free still available, seems like a real waste of legislative time, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it gives them something to campaign on. They can go out, when next time there's an election saying, look, I got this bill through that bans subscriptions in your car, except for this stuff.
And to be honest, at some point they're going to try to slip the automakers are going to try to slip something like those seats into cars. Yeah. And they're going to, that's the only way you're going to get. They're going to wait till they're going to wait till there's a lot of bad news and then slide it on out there.
I'll slide it out there and then people don't pay it. And it keeps moving. I think that there is, because subscriptions are something that people can push back on just by not buying it. Then I think that it'll find itself. But it is also true that automakers have been having the hardest time really trying to find that balance. There are more and more subscription fees that are associated with these services and with the capabilities. and the take rates have not been high quite enough. And some of the targets of, $25 billion of revenue in 2030 from subscription services feel really far away.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like it's not going to happen in the same way. So it's been a complete struggle. And on the other side, you've got constant discussions about how we need to move to a software-defined vehicle and we need to do this. Well, this is what happens. If you move to something that you're going to continually update by software, you're going to have to pay for it. And it's still a big balance. It's still a big balancing act. And I don't think, for the most part, the target isn't necessarily just to find a way to randomly get more money from you. It's still realizing you have to provide a value for that money. And again, the BMW heated seat example is one. Consumers clearly said, no, that's not acceptable.
I like how we got so angry and it wasn't even here. It was like in some test market somewhere else. We absolutely all lost our minds. We're like, no.
Yeah.
Which is good.
They did try to briefly charge a subscription fee for CarPlay.
Oh yeah, remember the CarPlay thing?
They charged $80 a year to get access to CarPlay.
I remember every review I did of a BMW made fun of that, and then it went away. Because it's
especially
ridiculous.
Since their connection wasn't that good. It was one of them that always dropped.
You're like, there's a cable and then a thing.
So it's interesting to have a piece of legislation kind of looking at that, but it's going to continue to evolve.
And the world that we live in now, this seems like the lowest hanging, boring. What are you doing? Come on, there's some other things. Yeah. Get to work.
Isn't there something that matters?
I know there's some stuff that
actually be useful.
There's some really important things you could do right now.
and if it's just New York, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the top 5 markets in the U.S., but still.
Well, okay. So if you don't want to pay subscriptions, how about if we run ads in your car for you and use that to pay for stuff?
That is even more annoying.
What was going on? Whose brain was like, you know what I think?
So, yeah, I mean, for years there's been discussion about, having, part of why automakers want the connectivity in the vehicles is so they can run ads in there. That's, also one of the reasons that people have talked about, why did Google, get into the business of trying to build self-driving cars? Google's revenue, 85% of Google's revenue comes from advertising. What can you do in a self-driving car when you're not driving? Oh, you can look at ads. So we can put ads in front of you. Well,
plus the data of where you're going, what you're doing, who you are. Oh, this person loves barbecue. They can now serve them ads everywhere on their computer, their phone, their TV about barbecue.
Well, I haven't seen an ad in a Waymo yet. But Stellantis, on the other hand, has started experimenting with ads. This first popped up a few weeks ago, and we didn't talk about it then. Stellantis said, "Oh no, sorry, that was a bug. That shouldn't have happened." Well, it's back again.
It's a bug.
Well, the first one was a bug. The second one, they're like, "Now it's good. Now we got it."
Yeah. So apparently, some Stellantis owners have been seeing pop-up ads showing up on their infotainment screen. But they're not even interesting ads, and they're certainly not ads that you should be reading while you're driving.
You have this whole space, this giant, and there's just like, here's some text.
Yeah.
That you're going to click away from anyway. Like when you get in your car and it's like lawyer. Yeah, whatever. Let me drive my car.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. So it was like, A, it's a bad idea. B, it was done just. It was rolled. Yeah, the execution was back. See, the design was like, well, I don't know.
Well, and this one that Jalopnik posted, right? It says just announced $1,500 loyalty retail bonus cash. So the ad is to buy another car.
Hey, do you own the car that you're driving?
Yeah. And if you're driving around in a Stellantis product, and an ad like this shows up saying, "Hey, buy another Stellantis product," are you going to think to yourself, yeah, I should go buy another Jeep or another Chrysler? You're going to think, no. Why? If you're going to put ads up in there for me, I'm going to go buy a Honda or a Toyota.
Literally anything that doesn't serve me. I don't Stellantis. This is just indicative of Stellantis, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is like their entire marketing. I'm surprised they didn't write the word Hemi in here. to be honest.
Right.
That's something up to something. And then just at the bottom, Hemi. And the fact you have to call a phone number to opt out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Call this number to opt out.
So, yeah.
You've been opted in.
I mean, the least they could do is make that, a clickable button, so you don't have to, because as it is, it's just a piece of text on the screen. So you can't even just click on that number. You actually have to, find
There's
a
a
phone.
smarter way to do this.
Yeah.
So you're testing a bad idea and you're doing it with a really bad ad that has multiple problems for somebody driving. I feel like somebody is putting this out as a test who isn't necessarily keen on the idea. So if you're not keen on the idea,
maybe trying to sabotage it,
do it really badly.
Yeah.
I feel they're just bad at their jobs, to be honest. This isn't like, I'm gonna mess this up. No, they're just top to bottom. This was a bad idea. No one said no. There was like an intern in the meeting who was taking notes. You're like, this seems like a bad idea, but no one's gonna listen to that person. They go, oh no, everyone's like, this will be great. People will love this. They'll be able to buy another Jeep or Ram with $1,500 loyalty, which will almost pay for the destination fee. And you have to call somebody to opt out. Yay!
See, apparently I keep getting told that I'm the only person in the world listening to Pandora still, but I do. And I don't have the subscription, and ads pop up when I'm listening to Pandora all the time. I accept that. If I'm paying for connectivity on a vehicle and ads are popping up because I'm paying for connectivity on a vehicle, that's a little bit different because I've paid for something. I mean,
it's like when Amazon started putting ads on Amazon Prime Video. Yeah. Right. And then this is, a service we've had for years, we're got to watch commercial-free shows and movies. And now all of a sudden, we're going to start running these ads and running a really high ad load on all these shows.
The same four
really
ads.
Annoying ads. Yes.
That Adobe Creator ad.
And if you don't like this, well, you can just pay us an extra $3 a month on top of your Prime subscription. It's like, no.
So that's the weird thing is that like when Hulu had, you could subscribe to Hulu with ads and then Hulu without ads, and the same thing with Paramount Plus. Mm-hmm. And so I just paid the extra money for Paramount Plus because I was trying to watch all the Star Treks in order, and I got tired of ads. But I knew what I was getting into. Like the Amazon thing, you're like, pay us $3 more. Like, no, no. Bad Amazon. You pop them on the nose with like a newspaper. You're like, you offered something and then you took it away and then you want $3. No. I'm happy to pay $5 or whatever more I pay to Paramount Plus or the $10 I pay more to Hulu when I upgraded that. But for some reason, the idea is like, now we're just going to put them in there and it's going to be the same four ads over and over and over.
So clearly the ad sales aren't even growing that well. Because
no, actually, I think like for the streaming services, the ones that have ads, and this is part of the reason why they have, like Netflix has continued to raise the price of their ad-free subscriptions, because they are actually making more money, even at a lower subscription fee. They're making more money from the ads than more margin per customer than they are from the ad-free versions of it. Which is why, like, the cheapest ad-free Netflix subscription is now like, $23 or $24 a month. It's insane.
No wonder I don't have Netflix.
Yeah,
but those ad sales, those are super. They have far more targeted data than you would sell on, say, TV, which is how we ended up with the issues within publishing. On websites don't have the hover time. You're not staying on that site as much as Google or Facebook, and so they get way better data from Facebook and Google. So the ads, what they're going to sell for inventory for publications is way low compared to those other things, and so now we can't afford journalists.
Yeah,
crazy that. Speaking of ads too, on Pandora, like I keep getting Nissan ads in my Pandora advertising thing, and I've been really honestly kind of impressed by the ads. They're so product focused. I'm like, you guys, like there's one about it's Nissan Rogue or Frontier, depending on which day it is, but still the generic And you don't know the engineer that did all the hot weather testing. You didn't, or the engineer that closed the door 13,000 times to make sure that it's good. I'm thinking, no, that wasn't an engineer with a goddamn robot. But that's not the point.
Like, I think I do know. You know who I am? This is some bad ad targeting.
That was an intern that did that.
But still, like they talk about some of the testing that gets done, and then they're like, yeah, we do all this so that the vehicle that you have is, it can go over everything, it can do everything that you want. We've got a JD Power Award and blah blah blah. And there's one for Pathfinder Rock Creek Edition that really talks about kind of where you want to go, where you want to take the car, but they draw through some really great product connections, and it's not about the monthly price, and it's not. It really, I was having a little bit impressed by the way those ads are. I'm like, if you're listening to this, if you're not really paying that much attention, we're in the middle of this all the time. If you're just a buyer who's thinking, maybe it's time to get a new car, I think it's an ad that actually tells you something about the car and gives you a reason. It connects, the Rock Creek ads connect with the lifestyle, and they do it all verbally, because you're listening to Pandora and you're not watching something. So the ads have been pretty good.
So you're saying that Stellantis needs to hire the ad agency that Nissan's using?
Right? Yeah, maybe. Or still, this is not a pop-up on my car. It's I still am not good with the pop-ups. But...
Hey, you like going off road? Get a Jeep. I mean, it seems like they're just like, hey, own just one of some of these brands. Yeah, you get some extra money.
Yeah. Kind of crazy, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's stick with Stellantis for a minute. The Fiat 500. When they launched the current generation of the 500, initially it was only available as an EV, even though the platform it's on is a multi-energy platform. So they can do gas and hybrids and stuff on it, but they only launched an EV version. And here in the U.S., we still only get the EV. But in Europe, they have just launched a new version with a gas engine. It is a 1-liter, 3-cylinder engine with 65 horsepower. Let's see, it does 0 to 60 in 16 seconds. And Jason Torchinsky loves the idea at the Utopian. He thinks it's fast enough. And generally I would agree that, most modern cars have arguably gotten too fast. We don't need pickup trucks and SUVs that go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But I don't know. Do you think 16 seconds, 0 to 60 is sufficient?
What was the old Fiat 500 specs?
9 or 10 seconds.
Well, if you're talking like old school, like not modern.
No, not the modern, the old modern one. I'm not talking about something that takes 3 days to get to.
I don't think it was quite that slow. At least not the versions here in the US.
I think it was 10.
Yeah, because here, they sold it with, I think, a 1.3 or 1.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder. It was probably in that 10-second range.
Well, let's find out.
Because we had a 500. It was fine. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We leased a 500.
For an urban commuter vehicle, it probably actually is enough. Because you're never going to be going 60 miles an hour in it.
Yeah.
And the reason I said not the U.S. is because the U.S. doesn't have very many city markets that are really just urban city vehicles. We just don't have enough.
Manhattan. Average speed in Manhattan's about 8 miles an hour. So
sure, it is, but I don't see a lot of Manhattanites deciding that they want a Fiat 500. It's logical there. But
my friends in the city just bought a Fiat 500, a used one.
Oh yeah,
in San Francisco, not in Manhattan. Sorry. So we had a Fiat 5. We leased a Fiat 500 when we the WRX when the motor exploded.
Jason does give the example here of a 74 AMC Gremlin, which took 17.7 seconds. And I remember when I, back in 2008 or 9, I drove a European spec Smart 4.2 diesel, and I did a 0 to 60 run in that. It took 19 seconds.
Oh.
That And I actually did try driving that thing on the highway, and it was terrifying.
So what happens? It's like I'm getting up to speed. Is that this is an issue that I have with the Vespa. Because the Vespa will do 80 miles an hour, 12-inch tires. I'm a madman according to motorcyclists. And so yes, it'll get up to that speed. You can get up to and it's also a motorcycle. But at a certain point, there are situations where you have to brake or you have to accelerate to get out of them. And that reduces one of those. That reduces one of those options, because if you can't accelerate, sometimes you have to accelerate out of a situation, and if you really can't, that's where I'm like, well, it's going to take this long. I mean, I get behind people in cars that are just never get to. They take like a good 45 seconds to get to speed, not because the car can't do it. That's just how they drive on the freeway, and I live next to a freeway. So there's that, but I think I think it's around town, cool. I mean, even in LA, this would be fine, to be honest, because most of the time you're not going that fast on the freeway because you're stuck in traffic. But if you're in the middle of a very car-centric, highway-centric, like mid-size city, like let's say Bakersfield, then this is going to be a little bit tough to get up to speed and yeah. I'm sad. I wish the EV version had been, I don't know, $6,000 cheaper. I really like that little car. I think it was great for around town. But it was just like, here's the car. Oh, cool. It's 30. You're like, whoa. I can get a proper, I'll make it, on one hand, I'm like, oh, this is a fun little car. It's got a small little battery. You can charge it really quickly. It's fun to drive around. But on the other hand, the logic of well, this is so much money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 35,000 for the 500e was too much given what you got.
Yeah. So
on the flip side of this conversation, and so I think 0 to 16 seconds to 0 to 60 is too slow for the U.S. I think that doesn't mean you can't find specific use cases.
Oh no,
it's
like 4 places in the U.S. it's fine.
Yeah, and the rest of it, it's not really
not
fun.
so much.
But here, not talking about EVs and the acceleration that they have right now. How many people in the U.S. really understand how fast their EVs can go from 0 to 60? And how many accidents are we going to end up having from people who just don't quite realize how fast this car is? To your point, Sam, not everything needs to go to 60 miles an hour in 3 or 4 seconds. That's not necessary either. It's going to be interesting. And I'm driving around 75, where I feel like it just gets to be 85 in an EV. You don't even notice.
Like you sneeze, you're like, oh, I'm doing 90.
Yeah.
and it's going to be interesting kind of watching drivers figure out really how to work with that and see how many speeding tickets happen, see what we really do when we get more and more EVs on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week, I think. You guys weren't here, but new regulations in China that would mandate that the default mode, whenever you start the vehicle, the vehicle couldn't accelerate to 60 in less than 5 seconds. Yeah, you could have a performance mode where it would go faster than that, but by default, every time you start the car, it has to be limited to no more than 5 seconds, 0 to 60. Which I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. Even that is arguably too quick for a lot of people, especially in conditions like we have today here in Michigan. I think that's too fast for most people to handle safely. But I agree. I think here in the U.S., for most U.S. driving conditions, like I said, there's exceptions like driving on the 405, driving in Manhattan, where you're not really going anywhere. But other than that, 16, 17 seconds is probably a bit too slow for most people.
Oh no, it's
it took me a couple of minutes to look this up while we were talking, but the Fiat
gonna
500,
make it.
Right, we're gonna get there. With the 1.4 liter was 10.5 seconds. And
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That was perfectly reasonable.
That is absolutely reasonable 0 to 60 time.
The Abarth was 7 seconds. So 10 seconds, I think you might be able to work with. it still feels pretty slow. But I think
we drove it on the freeway all the time.
It only feels slow because we've gotten used to cars that are so absurdly fast. It's actually a very reasonable acceleration rate for
it's just those
most
on-ramps that get to be short on-ramps get to be uncomfortable when you've got 10 seconds.
Hey, you can get a convertible. Hold on. 17.3. I think I can live with that. Where are you going? It's like whenever you see someone driving a VW, like a Beetle, like an old Beetle around, like a Super Beetle or before that. And you're like, okay, everyone expects that guy's, or that gal, it's going to be a while. They're going to do 60, 45 minutes or so. But I don't, if you're stuck behind this car, and there are some jerks in some big cars. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's fine for a very small portion of America and totally not fine for a very large portion of America. There you go. That's my take.
Yep.
And Jason does live in Southern California now, so he knows what it's like to drive on the 405. So that's probably.
And Jason just likes to poke people. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, Jason's also into very weird cars. So
yeah,
did say Nissan POW, didn't he?
No. Did he have a POW? Yeah, I think he did have a POW, and he had this weird little Chinese EV called a Candy.
Oh, they built at home or something?
No, he didn't have to build it at home, but it was like I think it was like what $1,000, maybe $2,000. It's not really street legal. They actually sell though not that particular one that he has, but Lowe's sells Candy electric kind of off-road vehicles, utility vehicles for like farms and stuff. They sell them there.
Side-by-sides?
They're kind of like side-by-sides, but not as not off-road as capable as like the Hondas.
No one's throwing up the horns in a no. Like woo, going for it.
All right. So
wait, 16. What if you have two friends in there? That goes down to like 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Everybody, put your foot out.
But if they're Jason's size, it's not going to make much difference.
Yeah, Jason's not. Yeah, he's not me.
He's not tall.
Yeah.
Jason's great. I love Jason. And another thing I'm sure that we all love is U.S. car dealers, right?
The best. Well, okay. So I know I talk a lot about U.S. car, but the car dealer that I go to, they're actually, especially the service center, outstanding, wonderful, nice people. And the dealership, but I'm going to caveat this, is that when we walked in, my wife's like, he writes about cars. He's been on Car and Driver. He's been on Auto, and that like she just walks in like that. See that guy?
You
can't mess. Don't mess with
him.
So I don't think that means that everyone else is having a great time like I am.
Yeah. So one of our favorite topics over the last several years was, especially when there was a shortage of supply of new vehicles available to buy, was dealers taking that opportunity to use the law of supply and demand to their advantage, to their financial advantage, particularly the lack of supply and high demand. And apparently some dealers are starting to do that now with the new Honda Prelude. There's at least one dealer somewhere that, the Prelude is not inexpensive to begin with. It's $43,000, including delivery, 43 and change, including delivery. And this dealer is adding almost $20,000 to that. 62, almost just shy of $62,000.
And then people are like, wow. Every time a dealer gets angry that someone's like, well, why can't we just buy it directly from the automaker, like Tesla, Rivian, etc.? And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like,
because our state legislatures are owned and operated by the car dealers.
Yeah, they got a pretty strong lobbying arm.
Yeah, there's other things involved, but so you asked about that, or we talked in the rundown that we were going to talk about this. And I was trying to find. We have what we call a retail advertised index, and so far we don't really see them out there. So I'm trying to figure out if this is how much of a one-off this is. I mean, clearly there's photos of the window sticker and all of that, but are there enough out, to know that how many dealers are really going to try and push this? I think $63,000 for Honda Prelude is a little bit crazy.
Well, it's like the $13,000 up markup for the BRZ when it first came out. It's a $30,000 car, and you're making it $43,000. And we saw my friend was like at a Subaru dealership in the Peninsula in the Bay Area, and he's like taking pictures, send me that. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. But someone's gonna pay for it. That's the thing. They're gonna find one person who's gonna be like, I gotta have this car now. But I don't mind paying all this money.
This is what drives me crazy about affordability problems.
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking about affordability problems, and then people spend $53,000 on a Prelude.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be 42.
To be fair, given the number of Preludes that are expected to be sold, this is probably not going to have a huge impact on the average. But still, it sucks to see dealers taking advantage of people like this. Like this one particular window sticker that somebody posted here, includes $1,995 for paint and fabric 5-year protection. Another $1,995 for the protection package, which is a set of wheel locks, splash guards, and a cargo tray. You can go to AutoZone and buy a set of wheel locks for $20.
Go to WeatherTech and get a nice, like, real quality leather.
For a couple $100. The Cardock Connect, which who knows what that even is, 6-year service plan, $1,700. The Clear Shield package protects door edges from dings and chips and protects door handles from scratches, $795.
The little plastic strip they put on the door.
$199 for nitrogen-filled tires. People, do not waste your money on nitrogen in your tires.
It's not a real thing.
Well, it's a real thing if you are running a Formula One race car, and
so it's not a real thing.
And
or you want to get high.
The rolling diameter
tires.
of your tire is crucial, and you don't want it to change as the tire heats up. For everybody else, don't waste money on nitrogen for your tires, because when you put air in your tires, 80% of that is already nitrogen to begin with.
Because
the atmosphere that we breathe is 80% nitrogen.
Like I'm taking crazy pills.
$400 for all-weather floor mats. Again, you could go buy a set of really nice WeatherTech floor mats for about that same amount of money, and they will actually probably be really good ones, as opposed to probably the garbage that this dealer's putting in. They're probably buying some for $20 from the local car parts store. $400 for a bumper shield, protects rear bumper from scratches, and $395 for infotainment shield, protects the infotainment screen from smudges and scratches. Again, you could go to Best Buy and buy a $5 screen protector and put it on if you must. And then a $10,000 just general added markup on top of all that.
I saw a Prelude on a car carrier drive down to Palm Springs, so that was the first time I've seen one in the wild.
I saw a carrier with 3 of the new postal delivery vehicles the other day.
Ooh, that's way cooler than the Prelude.
Yeah,
sorry. I love the Prelude, but the postal carriers are dope.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have talked about the John drove one. Like
John
production.
Who?
John. It's on Car and Drive. There's too many people named John. I can't remember everyone's last name.
That's a long list of silly add-ons.
Yeah.
And when they've already done it, so it's hard to get out of it. I mean, it's really easy. You just don't buy it.
Volker drove the postal vehicle?
Yeah. I'm so jealous of him.
I will have to contact my friends at Oshkosh and see if I can get a drive.
But gosh. Sorry, I can't. I remember seeing it at some auto show. I don't remember because, our brains are mush because everything just gets slammed together. But yeah, John got to drive it. And I'm just like, man.
So the folks at Edmunds have been doing some research on car prices as well. But this particular report was on used car prices. And they found that the average transaction price for 3-year-old used vehicles reached $31,067 in Q3 of this year, which is up 5%. But what was interesting about this was, the turn times, the time it takes to sell the cars. The average for, let's see, the average overall was 41 days. Which was up from 37 days in 2024 in the same quarter. But the average turnover rate for EVs, for used EVs, actually went down. It was only 34 days. And I think, as the, the tax incentives for EVs have gone away, apart from some state incentives, I think, this is an area where a lot of people that are interested in buying an EV are increasingly going to start looking, and because, one of the downsides of EVs is they've had very high depreciation, which if you're selling, that's a downside. If you're buying, it's an upside.
It's radical.
That's why we bought a used EV6, because you can get it for half the original price. On a 2-year-old car with 13,000 miles on it. This is an interesting trend. And it's going to be interesting to watch over the next year or so how this evolves. Whether we continue to see faster sales of used EVs and of course the prices on those used EVs as the turnover increases and the demand for the used ones goes up, we'll probably start to see those prices creeping up. But I think there's still a really good deal right now.
Yeah, we're seeing more of the less. For years it was a lot of compliance vehicles that were in the used market, but now you're seeing like the dedicated EVs, and people who are like, well, I can't afford a new EV, even with the tax credit or whatever. But I can't afford a used EV, especially when they're like stupid cheap, because Tesla keeps fluctuating the price, and there's a bunch of other reasons why EVs are less expensive. It's like pretty great. I mean, you can just look at Sam's buying his EV6 for like a nickel. When we turn in our Ioniq 5, when we turn in our Ioniq 5, I'm like, well, the payoff on the Ioniq 5 is higher because we have a lease, then we could just buy a used one that's like $10,000 less expensive than what the payoff is on this Ioniq 5. So we'll just do that. And maybe we can get a color besides white.
Yeah.
And that higher price the higher payoff kept your lease price lower. But I think that there's a couple of things I think that it does, fully support that EV sales have been struggling a little bit. There is interest, and the more people that are exposed to them, the more curiosity there is, the more understanding of it is, and the more experience keeps coming out. So we're still in that direction. EVs are expensive because they're expensive to build, expensive to produce, because all the parts in them are expensive, or at least the battery, because the battery is really expensive.
Yep.
So they're not, we still have automakers losing money on them. They're not overpriced from that manufacturing perspective, but they're more than what consumers are willing to pay. But I think the increase in the interest in used EVs does reflect that if you can get it to a price that consumers see value in, they're going to try it more rapidly than they are right now. The question is, how do you do that? How quickly can we get battery costs down? Sam, this has been a thing that we've been talking about for years, and it has gotten better, but it's not better enough.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot more progress on that in the next 2-3 years. As we start to get domestic production of LFP batteries ramping up, and also bringing LMR batteries, the lithium, the manganese-rich cells to market. That's going to help. That's going to be a significant help in allowing manufacturers to build these vehicles profitably at a significantly lower price point. But there's, even right now, there's still some great deals out there on used EVs. Like I just pulled up Auto Trader. Here's a used 2023 EV6 with 15,000 miles on it. $19,500.
What?
I think this one might be the base model with the shorter range though.
Who cares? What is it, 230, 250?
Yeah. But there's one pretty much like
Stephanie's gonna buy that car. You guys send her the link.
There's one.
Like, hold on.
There's one pretty much like the one that we just bought. An all-wheel drive. I paid $27,000 for it with 13,500 miles on it. This one's got 15,000 miles. It's $29,000. There's a lot. There's a lot of them here for between $20,000 and $30,000. For 1 to 2 year old EV6. And Ioniq 5s are similarly priced.
Because they have a 2-year. Because Hyundai does 2-year. The Hyundai Motor Group does 2-year leases. Like our group car is a 2-year lease. The previous was 3 years. So you're getting these 2-year-old cars for like almost half, with a huge discount, 40-something% off, and it's still an 800-volt vehicle. It's still that means the charge is quicker, even if it has lower range than something that's new. You're going to probably charge quicker than most of the new cars.
Interesting. I pulled up Carvana because we're doing this, right? And I've just scrolling through quickly. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 EV Neros and EV6s with price drops. So a 2022.
What are we all doing today? Whoa.
Light, was $22,990. Now it's $22,590.
What?
And another one with 93,000 miles was $18,990, and now is $18,590. So it's kind of interesting in this conversation to see that there's a bunch of price drops on these.
By the end of this episode, we're all going to buy new cars. What'd you guys do? We all bought new EVs or used EVs. Why? Because they were so stupid cheap.
Yeah. And, the thing is, the thing to keep in mind, if you're buying, even a 2 or even a 3-year-old EV like this, these things have 10-year, 100,000-mile warranties on the batteries. And one of the reasons people give for not wanting to buy a used EV is not knowing what the battery condition is. Well, if you've got 7-8 years of warranty on the battery, what are you worried about? Just go for it. And Hyundai and Kia have 5 years and I think 60,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty on these things. So in our case, we bought a 2-year-old car. It had 3 years and over 40,000 miles of bumper to bumper warranty, 8 years and 80,000 miles of battery warranty on it. And we're loving it. It's doing great. So, I think now, if you have any interest in an EV, in buying an EV, and you looked at the prices of new ones, there's certainly more affordable new ones coming to market now. The new Nissan Leaf, the new Bolt coming first of the year. And there's going to be other stuff, and even some of the others, have had price drops, like the Ioniq 5, is down to starts at 35,000 now. But, these used ones are, still some screaming deals on them. And I'm not surprised that, in a lot of cases, I don't know about what's going on at Carvana, but certainly a lot of other dealers, they're turning them around a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
I can get an Ioniq 5 for 35 or 25. That's an SE. Let's see. But here's the SE with green. That's green. Oh, here's the SEL. That's what we have right now. It's black. It's 25, which is $10,000 less than the payoff from when we turn in our vehicle. So you're just like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, well, what do you got on the lot that's used that's $10,000 cheaper than what you're trying to sell me this car for?
As long as we're talking about Kia EVs, the EV5 Weekender. Last year, Kia at SEMA showed the PV5, which is their electric van, in Weekender form, which was, an off-road, lifted off-road, kind of overlanding version of it. And at the Guangzhou Motor Show in China, Kia showed off a concept version of the EV5, which is their mid-sized electric crossover. It's about the same size as a Sportage, or Hyundai Tucson or RAV4, and it's an off-road version. Kind of like a more than what you get with something like the Ioniq 5 XRT. This thing is lifted. It's on big all-terrain tires. It's got all kinds of gear. This thing looks pretty cool for an off-road crossover. But no plans to sell the EV5 in North America.
In North America, yeah.
It's Asia only right now.
Oh, boo! I guess it's moved to Asia.
It's kind of like a scaled down version of the EV9.
Yeah.
Feel it's in Canada, but I'll double check that.
I feel like it's Canada. We're all moving to Canada.
There you go.
Yeah. Do they sell
the EV5 in Canada?
Double checking, but I thought so.
And it's got recovery hooks on it too. So, it's a real off-roader.
Yes. Kia EV5 is going to be sold in Canada in 2026.
Oh, excellent. So,
this is going to the Toronto Motor Show last year.
Ah, okay. So
I was there. I saw it.
Just go, drive, go over the bridge to Windsor and buy one there and bring it back.
As soon as I get over the whole homologation stuff, because I still think you have to. Maybe you can. How hard is it to import a Canadian spec car to the U.S.?
Canadian spec is usually pretty much the same as U.S. spec, but not always.
Not always.
Most stuff sold in Canada is built to the same spec, other than having the speedometer set in kilometers per hour instead of miles per hour. But sometimes they sell stuff there that does not meet U.S. spec. So
there's we looked up.
You could just move to Canada.
Yeah, you could just move to
not
Canada.
the worst idea in the world.
My brother and I looked up bringing cars over from Mexico. And when you bring the car over, you essentially have to be the owner of the car, and you have to have an address in Mexico in order to bring it into the United States, which isn't that. I mean, it's not difficult for me and my brother because we have family in Mexico with homes, and so. But I mean, we could just buy a house in Mexico so we can get a Jimny.
There you go.
And then you just have to make sure that your local police department doesn't give a the
only problem is, right now, if you did that and brought it over, you'd be driving it around on Mexican plates, right?
Yes.
And so that would potentially make you a target for certain federal agencies.
Yeah. So, but they can pull me over, and I can be like, "Oh, shoot, it's a white guy." Like, wait, what about this Roberto? I'm like, well, what about it? What do you want from me?
Last name's Baldwin. That doesn't sound Mexican, does it?
Come on. I'm a Habsy.
See, what else? EuroNCAP. So EuroNCAP is the new car assessment program in Europe. It's kind of similar to the NCAP program here, where they, do safety evaluations of new cars and give it a rating out of 5 stars. And like most of these programs, the IHS's top safety pick and NCAP and others, from time to time, they raise the standards for what it takes to get a 5-star rating. Because once everybody starts getting 4 and 5 stars, they make it tougher to earn those top ratings. Because they want to keep moving safety forward. So for 2026, they're updating the NCAPs, the Euro NCAP standards, and there's several things that they're changing. And among those is that, let's see, to get top scores, they will have to have driver monitor systems that track eye and head movements of the drivers and use that information to adjust the sensitivity of driver assist functions. So, if you are paying less attention and, you want to make it more sensitive so it can respond faster if you're starting to get into trouble. But let's see what else. They are also changing the scoring to evaluate the accuracy of speed limit recognition functions.
Okay.
These are, cameras that are looking at speed limit signs and, adjusting. In Europe, they're required to now to have automatically adjusting cruise control that adjusts to the speed limit, the local speed limit. They're also evaluating the real world performance of some of the crash prevention technologies like automatic emergency braking and lane keep assist, because if you've ever used those systems, they can be a little flaky, and oftentimes be more annoying than helpful. And so they want to make sure that these systems actually work so that drivers will trust them and leave them turned on instead of turning them off. And then what else? Post-crash safety. Electric door handles must now remain functional after an accident, and EVs must correctly manage the isolation of their batteries to mitigate any fire risk. So, if a crash is detected, it's got to isolate the battery so it's not sending power to the rest of the vehicle. But things like the door handles must remain fully functional to get top safety marks. And then there's also there's also something about physical controls. Here we go. They will evaluate the placement, clarity, and ease of use of essential controls, and its new scoring system will emphasize the importance of physical buttons for commonly used functions in response to consumer feedback that suggests they can reduce distraction.
Yay!
Yeah.
Rivian's going to be so angry.
I know.
Well,
Our RJ is not going to be happy about that one.
It's like, what? I have to pay money?
there's an interesting one in here too. Automatic urgent emergency response functions will now need to be able to tell responders how many occupants are in the car.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So if you get into a crash, there needs to be sensors in there that can let ambulances know how many people are going to have to deal with. And I think that's a good thing to have, because if they have that, if there's, let's say you've got 5 passengers in the vehicle, maybe you have to send out 2 ambulances or 3 ambulances instead of just 1 to make sure you can take care of everybody.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. The speed limit recognition is really not very consistent, at least in my experience here.
Yeah, I remember one time,
they're very difficult.
A few years ago when we were doing a first drive for the Lincoln Corsair, and there, was driving along, and the speed limit was 55, or speed limit was 65, and then we passed a sign where it was dropping down to 55, and all of a sudden the cruise control switched from the speed I had it set at to 85. It had misread the sign as 85 instead of 55, and adjusted the speed upwards by 20 miles an hour instead of downwards. Yeah,
that was that. Yeah.
It had the Robbie mode.
He's ready to party.
And I remember talking with Lincoln at the time and Ford on a different vehicle that was having a similar issue. And their engineer was like, you could just turn the system off if you don't like the way it works. I'm like, yeah, but you expected somebody to pay for it to begin with.
Make it work. How about just make it work correctly?
Make it work.
If you're going to put a feature in the car, make sure it works.
Yeah.
Especially
you turn the thing that doesn't work
safety
off. Well, why did you release something that doesn't work?
Yeah.
And some sort of calibration between what it reads and the the navigation energy of being able to tell with GPS, being able to tell exactly where you're at. There's Mercedes there was a consistent issue on 696, just going certain part. It picked up 4 lanes on 696, and it would pick up the 40 mile an hour sign for the service drive.
Oh, that's adjacent to the highway.
Control, I got cruise control at 75, and all of a sudden it is hard braking in the middle of the freeway. The first time it freaked me out. The second time I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. So I cruise control really quickly. But I'm like, that was dangerous.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure they've improved it a bit since then. I remember calling and saying, what's going on here? And they're like, this kind of known issue but it was weird. Like I'm in the 3 lanes away from where it even read the sign at. And I mean, Volvo's But oftentimes I, would come out of a street that's 25 miles an hour and turn left, and the new street is 35 miles an hour, but there's 3/4 of a mile till there's a new sign.
Right.
I mean, I didn't cruise control on at that point, but for that 3/4 of a mile or a mile, like, it was telling me that I was going too fast for the condition, that I was speeding, and I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Those sign systems aren't quite ready to be fully reliable yet, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. All right. A couple of charging related stories. Despite the fact that our federal government has tried to kill all the federal funding for the NEVI program, which is the $5 billion from the 2021 Infrastructure Act that was supposed to help fund deployment of charging stations, DC fast charging stations across the country. The courts have said, nope, you cannot block that funding. You have to keep spending it. So last week, the Georgia DOT, which is, that's a state that is run by the same party. They awarded $24 million for 26 new EV charging stations across the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they're also getting a plant in a little while.
Yeah,
well, multiple plants.
So and Georgia was one of the states that had a pretty decent state level incentive for a while.
Yeah,
and of course, as soon as they pulled it out, sales in the EV sales in that state dropped like a stone. And so the point being, Georgia has been a little bit more aggressive on this than some states already.
Yeah, so they're putting these stations in a bunch of different locations around the state, with quite a few different vendors that are operating these stations. So there's Pilot Travel Centers, Silver Comet Energy, Power Up America, what else? Love's Travel Stops, EnviroSpark. So there's a bunch of different ones. So they're spreading the money around, and all this is good. It helps get more infrastructure, more high-speed charging infrastructure. And, part of the program is, requirements for reliability and uptime, if they want to get the money. So hopefully that part is being enforced so that, when they put these chargers in there, they don't just get, put in and then abandoned. Hopefully they will actually make the effort to keep them running properly over time.
Yeah, that was one of the good things about the program to begin with, was that it set aside a bunch of sort of consistent requirements that had to happen in order to get your federal funding, which was stopped short of making it mandated that charging stations had to have plug and play and we have the uptime and all that. But by putting it as a requirement to get funding, it certainly drives incentive to build them that way.
Yeah,
just to make sure that they're viable. But
and then robotaxis, all the robotaxis that are out on the road today, particularly the real ones, that actually drive unsupervised, they're all electric vehicles right now, including Waymo's Jaguar I-Paces and Zeekrs, and soon their Hyundai Ioniq 5s, and in Santa Monica, Waymo has two lots where they bring their vehicles for cleaning and service and charging. Well, the city of Santa Monica recently issued a new regulation that effectively bans Waymo from overnight charging at those two lots that they own for their robotaxis, which is not very helpful. It was a 6-0 vote. And they have to cease overnight operations at those two facilities because they got a lot of complaints from the neighbors that the vehicles
noise.
were making too much. The vehicles are making too much noise. And these are EVs, but yeah, they had backup beepers, and the chargers themselves. They're from the transformers. There's a hum from that. And so people were just, the locals were complaining too much. And so now they are no longer allowed to operate from those two facilities between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., which is not helpful if you're trying to.
I mean, it's not helpful, but if you live next to a place that before didn't do that, and now, like, if you move next to the airport, I don't want to hear you complaining.
Yeah.
If you move next to a club, I don't want to hear you complaining. But if you live next to like just a place, and then suddenly all night, beep beep beep, that's to be honest, that's how Silicon Valley works. Is they don't take into account anything.
Yeah.
About the community when they deploy. They don't think about the unintended consequences of their actions, which has been a problem with them for 15, 20 years at this point. So yeah, that was, I mean, there's a lot of space. Also, Santa Monica is so expensive. Where are they paying for it?
And they own the lot, so that's interesting too.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, the story doesn't say how many chargers are in each lot.
Yeah, this article says they own the lots. I'm guessing they are probably actually leasing. I doubt they actually own the properties. So they're gonna have to find somewhere else to do their charging that is not going to be annoying to neighbors.
Yeah,
which might be difficult in a place like Santa Monica.
Well, I mean, Santa Monica, yes, but there's a lot of areas around that area. There's a lot of industrial zones that they could be, especially when they're, close to the airport.
Yeah.
You get a place close to the airport, and then no one cares because guess what? You're close to the airport.
But, the thing is, I mean, well, they're trying to close Santa Monica Airport. So, you would have to,
Yeah, but they go
I guess
to
the next
LAX.
closest airport would be LAX. The thing is, if you have to go long distances like that, from Santa Monica to LAX, drive to LAX to recharge or to get the vehicle cleaned and things like that. That's a challenge for the economics of running.
It's 11 miles from Santa Monica to LAX.
Okay, yeah, it only feels like it's 100 miles.
Yeah, it only feels. Yeah. I mean, if you're already on the west side, I used to be a runner for a studio. If you're already on the west side, it's fine moving around, especially at night. It's getting from the east side to the west side where it's a problem. Santa Monica is a giant cluster, no matter what. Mm-hmm. But if you're in Santa Monica and you go to the airport, you're never, cruising over to the 10 to the 405. We're just taking surface streets, and it takes like 30 minutes.
Okay,
it's not the end of the world if they have to move to an industrial zone.
All right. Well, with that, I think let's call it a show, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks for bringing me back this week.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Steph. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
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 If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.